Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day, the recitation, the seventh sabad from Dhanasari Mahalla Pehla, composition of the first Nanak. The recitation, Dhanasari Mahalla Pehla, Kaia Kagad man Parvana, सिर के लेख ना पड़े इयाना दरगह घड़िए है तीने लेख खोटा काम न आवे वेख. Again, the story of the counterfeit continues. Here the Guru says he likens the body, tan, really not the body, just the body, but our physiological apparatus, the body-mind, our psychic apparatus. It is like the paper. Mana Parvana, the mind, is the Parvana. Parvana has dual connotations. It implies an ordinance that usually a king or a ruler delivers as a writ. It also means the one who carries that writ, the messenger, Parvana. It has both these meanings. So what is being said here is that the body, the apparatus that we have, is like a paper on which is inscribed a script. And the script is preordained destiny. In other words, we are already coded with informational structure. Our structure is coded with information, and it comes through the mind. The mind is the messenger that interacts with the material world in order to co-author a living script, which is our life. You understand? That will ultimately require approval at the threshold of liberation. That's the game. So, Kaia Kagad man Parvana, that's the relationship. The mind carries preordained instructions, wisdom, if you will, and the mind acts with the body, interacts with the outer world to make sense of all the impressions that are coming from the outside world, makes choices, and is in that way writing its script. Sir ke lekh na pade yana, but the immature, the ignorant, do not read the message inscribed on their heads. So what that means is, sir ke lekh is to give an accounting, lekha, and lekh is the accounting. So the term here is used to denote hukam, sir ka lekh, and the accountability of the individual being. It is explaining to us how we interact. Sir ke lekh na pade yana, the immature mind does not trouble itself to understand its innate wisdom. So the mind becomes the intersection where this drama is being played out. Dargah kadiye tinne lekh khota kamana ave vek. Again, the point being that because the immature don't understand the markings already stamped on their head, in other words, their tendencies, motives, consequences arising from past choices, that's one, and the other is the operating system within which all of this is happening. Sirka Lekh. So unless you understand how this operates, how your choices actually determine the script that you write on the paper of the body-mind, you will not be allowed entry to a higher consciousness. In other words, you will continue to live life at the level of the ego, which is not a very happy one. And in the Rahao, Nanak ji vich rupa hoye, khara khara aakhe sab koy. If only there was silver within. Nanak ji vich rupa hoye. Rupa here is silver. Then everyone would cry, it is genuine, it is genuine. Khara khara aakhe sab koy. So silver within the Indian thought system symbolizes intrinsic worth, purity, genuineness, and that is what Guru Nanak is pointing to. He's saying if you have intrinsic worth, genuineness, purity meaning if you're ego-free, in other words, if your inner self is truly genuine, authentic, others will naturally recognize and affirm that worth, just as pure silver is universally called khara. And now he turns his attention to the deception. He critiques spiritual authorities of his time for their hypocrisy. Kadi kood bol mal khaye. The Qazi speaks falsehood. Qazi is a Muslim divine. Jurisprudence, judge. He speaks falsehood and he consumes filth. Malakai, the filth of its own ego, because he fancies himself to be the judge and learned. Similarly, Brahman nave jiya kal, the Brahmin engages in ritual bathing, having killed living beings. What a paradox. Jogi jukta na jane, andha, the yogi is blind. He does not know the method. Tine ujade ka band, all three are bound together in devising their own destruction, their own ruin. The judge preaches truth but practices deception. The Brahmin pursues ritual purity but harms life. The yogi prides himself on renunciation but is blind to the inner method. Three different labels, one shared condition. Outer religiosity, masking an inner hollowness. That is what we have to be aware of. And now, Guruji gives us a sense of who. He's redefining these identities. The Qazi, the Brahmin, the Yogi. Having told us that they are deceptive, he's redefining them. He's saying who really is a Yogi. So Jogi, jo Jugat Pachane, who knows the method. And then he tells us what the method is. Gur Prasadi Eko Jane, the Guru's grace. Who is adopted the way of the Guru, wisdom. And who is the true Qazi, the judge? Kaji so, jo ulti kare, ulti turns inward. Gur Prasadi Jivat Mare, and through the Guru's grace, learns to die to its ego. So you see, the Guru is the common theme here. So Brahman, jo Param Bichara, jo Brahma Bichara. So Brahman, so jo Brahma Bichara. Brahman is one who contemplates the creative, the Brahm. And in so doing, he crosses over and carries humanity with him. That's his function. So this is the redefinition. The yogi understands that the inner path is union. It's an orientation. It's not a pose. The Qazi reverses direction. He turns inward, letting the ego die. And the Brahmin radiates his own insights to others, into his surroundings. And it's only by doing this that these roles are redeemed. In other words, they have to be aligned with inner truth. and Gur Prasadi is the catalyst of all transformation. The Guru carries this theme in the 4th verse. Daan subandh soi dil tove, Musalman soi mal khove, Padya bujhe so parvan, Jis sir dargah ka nisaan. He's dissolving all external categories here. He's not even identifying them as real. What is called for is wisdom, and they alone are wise, danishmand, who wash their hearts. Dil tove. You're required to be a Musliman. And who is a Musliman? Malakhova, they who remove their inner impurity. So anyone who does that is a Musliman. And who is the learned and who is the discerning? Padya bujhe so parvan. They who bear the mark of divine approval. Those who have entered into a higher consciousness, gone past the threshold. So whether it is the jurisprudence of the Qazi, or the asceticism of the yogi, or the scholarship of the Brahmin, they're all stuck in the counterfeit performance of the ego. And Guru Nanak has in this Shabad used metal, silver in this case, to really test our metal. Is there the pure metal of humility, sincerity, and inner awareness within? Is that the script being written? Then no religious labels are necessary. So authenticity is the only true religion. What we inscribe in our minds becomes our inner quality, our religion. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.